Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name's Chris and it's fantastic to have you back with us for another video. And in today's video, I'm going to pose the question to you all. Do you think we can see the peak of the bull run this year, 2022? So I'm going to sort of go through my thoughts and my opinions, but really, this is, I guess, thinking out loud and looking at what I see, and I'm going to sort of talk through my thoughts and opinions, but do let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are. If you enjoy this sort of content and you want to support the channel, mash up that like button. My chubby fingers always miss the S off. So it would normally be smash, but it's mash that like button. And, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, tapping that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video. So let's get down to the desktop. Let's do a bit of thinking out loud. Let's sort of look at what we see in the space and the market and the macro landscape, because ultimately with all this stuff happening with Russia, I guess the price of fuel and energy consumption and impacts that's going to have on retail, all that sort of wonderful stuff. Let's sort of get into the nitty gritty, but do let me know what your thoughts and opinions are. I love reading the comments. So we're going to start at coin market cap. I think this is always a good place to start. We're down 1.64% for the overall market of crypto, currently sat at $1.79 trillion. Bitcoin is now beneath $39,000 at 38,831.67, down 2.26% at the time of recording, and for the last 7 days it's down 4.05%. So ultimately, it's not looking very, very healthy. Now, I kind of feel like we're going to see the blow off tops, come the end of this year, or, this year, at some point, right? I really do think that we have a high probability chance of this happening, high percentage chance. And ultimately, I want to sort of go through why I'm coming to these conclusions, right? And it's not like I'm not thinking about it and just trying to clickbait people into this. I honestly do think that there's a high percentage chance that this could happen. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of start to talk about Bitcoin leaving exchanges and the squeeze that is happening on the supply. Before I sort of get into too much of the macro sort of landscape that we've got with everything that's happening in other financial markets and so forth. But another 105,000 more Bitcoin left exchanges just yesterday, as the accumulation continues. And since the start of January 2022, we have seen 4.14 million BTC leave exchanges. And this has created a multi-year low of availability of BTC on exchanges. This is a huge, I guess, shock to the BTC supply, and will create, or has the potential to create, a massive price surge. So, I kind of feel like, diamond hands are where, people are going to likely benefit. But ultimately, there's a huge squeeze going on the supply. It doesn't mean that it can't come back on the exchanges, but ultimately, there's a lot of accumulation going on. Now, we can sort of, guess that, retail investors are currently, liquidated their positions in the crypto space, or potentially not investing, right? And that's why whenever we see a bit of a green candle or a few green candles, it doesn't seem to last too long, because there's no real sort of volume behind it. And that is mainly because it's only really institutions and the very few wealthy people that are still in the space, right? The general retail investors currently are concerned with inflation. The cost of energy and bills have all increased, and actually, your 1%, possibly 2% pay increase hasn't kept up with inflation. So, it kind of, stands to show or demonstrate that ultimately, this is the reason why we're kind of moving sort of downwards and sideways, rather than really getting sort of, a big sort of push to the upside. But I do think it's just a matter of time. And we'll come on to the macro picture a bit later. But ultimately, I do think that, that's going to do a U-turn at some point in the near future. Articles from like 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗏, get my words out, 27k max paying Bitcoin prices, ultimate buy, the dip opportunity, says research. So obviously this hasn't happened yet, but people talking about the 27k, there's people talking about much lower. Now I see all of these as opportunities, but I'm very much like a dollar cost average over a period of time kind of guy. So all of these points, even now, I'm looking at the market, and at 30, below 39k, I think a fantastic opportunity for purchasing Bitcoin. And ultimately there will be people saying don't buy at resistance and all this sort of stuff, and ultimately I kind of feel like it really depends on what type of investor you are. Now ultimately, if you look more long term, 5, possibly 10 years, ultimately we're going to be going in an upwards sort of trajectory. So over time, I don't think it really matters what price you're paying now. In 5-10 years time, it's going to have been worth it, right? Particularly when you look at the squeeze on supply. If that continues to happen and there's more and more adoption, which we expect to happen, ultimately the price is going to go up. Now if you're the other type of investor and you're swing trading, day trading, basically you're a trader, then I wouldn't be buying at resistance. But ultimately I think it doesn't really matter, if you've got a long-term view. And Nick and myself, we have a long-term view of this space. We've been open from the get-go. We've got a long time sort of time horizon view of the market, and our investments suit that. So it is part and parcel of what type of investor you are. But ultimately, if it goes down to 27k, which I don't see happening, but if it does, and you can never say never in crypto, then ultimately it would be a buying opportunity. The other thing that I've highlighted an awful lot is another asset, and that is Cardano. And again, I think there's a squeeze happening on the supply for Cardano. If we have a look at the ADA wallets, that's on the increase. The amount staked, again, I think it's been as high as 72.78%. But right now we're at 72.63. Again, I think the fact that so much is staked, and I'm not too concerned about these pullbacks, right, from what is it, 72.78 down to 72.5. I'm not too concerned about these pullbacks, because I don't necessarily believe that it means that ADA is being unstaked to be sold. I think it could be moved to another yield opportunity across the platform. So don't read into these thinking that it's potentially negative. New ADA wallets per day is on the increase after a bit of a pullback. The total value locked just over 202 million, and that will be up from yesterday, because I looked at it yesterday. We're in the green for the average block load, and that will be because they've increased the size of the blocks. And then we've got the adjusted volume per day, again, is kind of sideways movement. Native tokens are on the increase, and transactions per day, again, is kind of moving sideways.
And guys, this video has been sponsored by 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗀, and specifically the Cardano ADA pool. If you are looking to support the channel and our effort here to communicate out all the recent kind of news, articles, price changes and price action of your favorite altcoins, then there's no better way than delegating your ADA into our stake pool. By doing so, you'll not only support the channel, but you will also earn a juicy return and a nice passive income on your ADA holdings. It's really simple to do, guys. Just load up your 𝗖𝗢𝗪𝗏 or Deadliest wallet, drop your ADA into the wallet, and then find the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗀 pool via the ticker 𝗕𝗘. In doing so, you'll earn a nice juicy return and support the channel. There is no better time to do so, so why not delegate to 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀 today?
With all that said, I do believe that there's a squeeze on the supply. There's articles like this one, which was June last year, saying that supply shock may drive ADA's price to $5. And I'm not going to sort of get into this article because it's it's quite an old article, But what I am going to say is that I believe that there is a supply shock happening for Cardano, its token ADA. We've seen recently that Binance had been struggling with a shortage of ADA. They put a 50, I think it's 53 or 52% APY 8-day lockup to encourage people to send their ADA to the exchange. Obviously, that got filled quite quickly. But ultimately, the reason why I flag this is I think, some of the price, I guess, predictions that some of the influencers have been saying could potentially come to fruition just purely on the basis that we've got so many projects that are starting to pop up on Cardano now. I do think Cardano are going to do really well when it comes to DeFi. You've got the likes of Liquid Finance, you've got the likes of Meld, you've got other projects as well that have popped up with liquidity pools, and basically I can see a lot more of the token getting sort of placed in some of these pools for the yield opportunities. And I think when that happens, coupled with the amount of ADA that is already staked, I can see ADA price really starting to surge. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are on this in the comments below. But ultimately, Cardano and ADA in particular, I think, are going to do remarkably well. So what I really want to do now is also sort of talk about some of the macro sort of picture, right? So we know that institutions are increasing their exposure to crypto assets. There's lots of articles just like this one where there's a Canadian institution or Canadian institutions increasing their exposure. This is just one example. You've got the UK institutions believe crypto will go mainstream within a decade. Again, not going to sort of go through the articles, but there's lots and lots of indications that institutional investors are really sort of getting into the nitty gritty and getting into crypto, right? 7 in 10 retail and institutional investors plan to buy more crypto. This is according to a Bitstamp survey. So yeah, loads going on. Expanding B2B technology for institutional clients to unlock crypto markets. There is just so much going on with the institutions looking to purchase or purchasing cryptocurrency. And that's not just Bitcoin. So don't be under the illusion that it's just Bitcoin that's being purchased. Cardano, again, was one of the biggest alongside Solana and a few others that institutions have been purchasing in massive bulk. And I really want to sort of talk about sort of the landscape, right? And everything that's happening with Russia, Ukraine, the fuel, the gas, all this sort of stuff, the food situation as well, because a lot of the crops come from Ukraine as well, right? So I think wheat, for example. So ultimately there's lots going on, particularly in Europe, the interest rate hikes and all of this sort of stuff. Now, I don't think this is going to continue for a huge length of time, and I do kind of feel like a lot of the stuff is, inflation in particular is going to come down, and I think you're going to see people being able to not keep their not tighten so much on their purchases and stuff like that as time goes on. So I do kind of feel like there's going to be a really good opportunity for the crypto space, and I really do believe that ultimately we're heading into a phase after this accumulation that we're going to start to see some really nice, healthy price discovery for a number of these different assets. So my thought process is that the landscape overall is going to start to look really, really juicy for crypto blockchain technology. We're starting to see the potential of catalysts being the ETFs for Bitcoin and so forth. I don't think ETH 2.0 is really going to have too much of an impact, but it could do if it ever actually comes to fruition. And ultimately, I really do believe that the macro landscape is going to change, and everything's going to become very, very good from a standpoint on crypto. I think also regulations is going to, start to come to fruition, and more and more adoption is kind of how I see things going. But do let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comments below. Really interested to understand whether you agree, disagree, and ultimately tell me what your thoughts are. When do you think we're going to start to see blow off tops? Do you see now as a good time to make an investment, or are you more cautious and worried and fearful getting into the market? Ultimately, we do believe that we're going to go down lower. I'm not suggesting that we're not, but ultimately, I would be and are continuing to purchase crypto in these dips, and I will continue to do so, bringing my average cost down. But do let me know what your thoughts and opinions are. Really interested to know. If you enjoyed today's video, even if you found it entertaining, supportive, or anything like that, or you just want to support the channel, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, tapping that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.